My journey with e-commerce began about 3 years ago. It probably began in a similar way to yours. I watched a YouTube video with a very persuasive influencer that had me convinced dropshipping with Shopify was the best way to start an online business and the easiest way to start generating money online. I did some quick research on how to drive traffic, and I didn't like the idea of paying a lot for Facebook ads or anything like Google search ads. I wanted to see if I could do this organically and drive free traffic. This kind of led me to the darker corners of the internet. I found an online community at MP Social. I learned about Mass Planner. I downloaded it on my computer, and I found out that I could start creating these Instagram accounts, grow them, and drive traffic almost completely for free to my Shopify store. I targeted the travel niche because I found that this was one of the easiest niches to grow in, and because I had these travel accounts, I decided to start selling bohemian goods and jewelry, something that I was not passionate about at all. But I could find these products on AliExpress for under $1 and resell them for 15 to 20 bucks easily on my Shopify store. I grew a lot of my travel niche accounts on Instagram to about 10,000 followers a piece, and I had about 30 of these accounts. So I was driving a lot of traffic to my store, and I got online sales up to about $1,000 per month. It was costing me less than $100 per month, so the profit margin was pretty good there. But then Instagram started making a ton of changes to get rid of all the bots, and I was one of the bots. All of my 30 accounts were bots, and essentially I was generating traffic that seemed organic because I didn't have to pay for it, but was it really organic? No, I mean, these weren't real accounts, they weren't driving real engagement, and it became harder and harder to drive this traffic. I was constantly having to change and make tweaks as Instagram was changing their algorithm, and at some point, after about a year or so of doing these online sales, the time and the man hours that I was putting in wasn't even worth it, even though I was making a pretty decent profit margin. So I closed down my store entirely. But that does not mean that I gave up on my entrepreneurial dream. What I did do is I stopped listening to these influencers and I started watching them. I realized that they were making a ton of money off of YouTube ads themselves, that they had affiliate partnerships that they were driving traffic to from their YouTube profiles, and also that they had their own products, but they weren't selling with Facebook ads like they were talking about. They were actually selling them to their audience, to people like me. I had become one of those people that was so easily manipulated because I was chasing my dreams. I was like a little fish swimming in a pond. I would see a shiny lure and I would chase it. But these endeavors hadn't become all that successful, and I didn't feel really that passionate about them. So I started from square one. I had this old channel on YouTube where I talked about rideshare and the gig economy. I had used this for my business in the past. I had a blog about Lyft and Uber, and I actually did pretty well just referring drivers to those two platforms. So I decided to dive back into creating content for the gig economy. And I've grown this channel to over 30,000 followers. I also launched gigsharks.com, where I help gig workers find gig economy jobs in cities near them. I've partnered with all of the big names in the gig economy, from DoorDash, Postmates, Instacart, Uber, and Lyft, and also a lot of the other smaller names. They either pay for advertising on my website, or I'm in their affiliate program, and every time someone gets placed in a job through gigsharks.com, I get paid a commission. So the website monetizes very well, and it costs me very little. I didn't have a lot of need or desire to get back into dropshipping or selling online. I was actually working on an app for gig economy workers, and it's still something that I'm hoping to stand up in the near future. But then someone commented on my YouTube channel. I had a subscriber tell me about this new tactic that he was using. He had a heating pad, which he would put inside of his food delivery bag and use that to keep his food even warmer when delivering it to customers. I had noticed from my own experience, I hadn't just been talking about the gig economy. I actually dove all the way in, and I had been delivering, shopping, working with all of these different companies, figuring them out. But I noticed that companies like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Postmates never actually sent you good food delivery bags. They were very flimsy, they weren't well insulated, and they didn't actually close all the way. So there was a huge need for someone to either provide better food delivery bags or something else that they could use to keep food warmer during the delivery period. This came about the same time when I updated my website on WordPress, gigsharks.com to a new theme, and it was a job board theme that required me to install WooCommerce. So I had actually dabbled with WooCommerce before. When I initially started with Shopify 3 years ago, I had already had a ton of experience on WordPress from hosting some successful affiliate websites, and I went to check it out. I went to see if I could use WooCommerce and sell products that way, but they just were not that far advanced. They were way behind Shopify. It was difficult to use, difficult to implement, and there was nothing to the equivalent of Oberlo to import products and easily fulfill them within a WordPress store using WooCommerce. But as an eternal optimist, I decided to check it out again, see if I could set up a WooCommerce store, and I looked around at some plugins to see if there was an equivalent to Oberlo. I found that the process of installing the WooCommerce plugin took me like 10 to 15 minutes, and it did everything for me. I didn't even have a theme that was designed to host an online store. Like I mentioned, it was a job board, so I just decided to see if I installed WooCommerce, would I be able to open up an online shop? WooCommerce added a page to my website, gigsharks.com/shop, and it displayed all of the products very nicely. Honestly, it looks as clean as Shopify does. Not only that, the user experience going from browsing products, adding to cart, checking out, using PayPal, whatever service they want to use, is very simple. It converts very highly, and from my experience with Shopify, it looks about the same. So I was getting everything that I was getting through Shopify, except that I wasn't paying anything additionally. I already had hosting. If you don't have hosting, you can go to Bluehost, pay under $4 a month for this hosting. I was required to have an SSL certificate, that HTTPS at the top of your website. You need that to have an online store, but there are a ton of free sources for this. You don't have to pay for it. And your hosting provider, if they make you pay for it, it's gonna charge you a $10 one-time fee. So it's nothing expensive here. Now, if you do scale up a WooCommerce store to a ton of products or you sell digital products, you may have to pay a monthly fee, but it's still not as much as the starter fee on Shopify. And for people like me, I'm paying absolutely nothing to use WooCommerce. Now, I mentioned that I found a WordPress plugin that's equivalent to the Oberlo app with Shopify, and I'm gonna show you that right now. It's called Dropshipping and Fulfillment for AliExpress and WooCommerce. The setup is extremely simple. It took me all of 10 minutes. It's 100% free to use. The only thing you have to keep in mind is you will have to add an additional Chrome extension, which allows you to import and fulfill those products through AliExpress. Everything looks very similar to Oberlo. If a Shopify user looked at this for the first time and did not know what they were looking at, honestly, I think they would confuse it for Oberlo. The process is about the same. You click on a product that you want to import. It's a one-click process. You can then edit the description, the photos, the variables, easily import that to your shop. You can fulfill any orders that come through in a single click. Everything is connected to your AliExpress account, and then you can sync those orders to give your customers updates. Now, WooCommerce manages all of the information regarding your shipments to keep your customers informed. And WooCommerce actually does some things that go above and beyond what Shopify does. Right out of the box, I can add related products, I can upsell, and I can cross-sell completely free. It's very easy to use, very easy to set up, and this is something that Shopify apps charge you a ton of money to do. I've even seen some that charge you a percentage of every single sale that goes through the app. It makes sense. I mean, if you're thinking, I'm getting these additional sales, why not pay out a little bit to that app in order to generate those sales? But from someone like me that has development experience, I look at these apps and it's just a few lines of code. WooCommerce has incorporated it into their ecosystem and I pay absolutely nothing for it. So let's take a look at my sales, because I know that's something you're wondering about. Well, if we look here within my WordPress dashboard, you can see that I made $262 within the month of November, and that's with no advertising. I don't pay for ads. I've simply made a couple shout outs on the Gig Nation YouTube channel. These heating pads sell very well. It's something that you could call a winning product. Now, I know a lot of other influencers on YouTube are not going to share these winning products with you because they claim that either other competitors will steal them, or maybe they're not actually selling on Shopify, they're just selling a dream to you. There's definitely a lot of fake Shopify influencers out there. These are definitely my real sales. Something that you might notice is that my stats don't really match up well to my sales. You'll see that I have about 10,000 website visitors in that period of time. Now remember, gigsharks.com is not an online store fundamentally. It is an ecosystem, it's a job board for users to find gig economy jobs. This is where most of my profit comes in. I just decided to open up this online store on the side. So when I'm sending a user to the store to make a purchase, that's directly from YouTube. And that is a significantly smaller portion of the website visitors. Now, I also want to share with you the process that I went through to find these products, because quite frankly, it wasn't simple. When I had the subscriber reach out to me on my channel recommending a heating pad, the idea popped into my head that I could sell it. And yes, I had also installed WooCommerce, but I really couldn't find this product easily. I started digging on AliExpress, and I found that a lot of these products I could not get that quicker shipping on. They weren't shipped directly from the US. When I changed my search filters to find only products that ship from the US and through USPS, I couldn't find anything. And then I realized that I was fundamentally searching wrong, that a lot of AliExpress suppliers had different names for products than what I would imagine. I looked at the heat pad that I was looking at that was available in China, but I couldn't find any in the US. And I also looked at the heat bag, the food delivery bag that I had found that were coming from China. And it looked like a lot of the product names were also calling this a picnic bag, which is not what I'd be using it for. No one here is having picnics, none of my customers are. But I decided to search for picnic bags that had US shipping, USPS suppliers, and that's when I found my products. I found these selling for only a few bucks. With a few dollars shipping on top of that, it allowed me to make at least a 50% profit margin. And then I used that same strategy to find these heating pads that were selling with USPS shipping as well. That way I can get these to my customers in under 7 days, which is really quickly. I mean, considering it's a drop shipping store and at the price that I'm paying for the shipping and the products, all of a sudden I have products and a customer experience that I'm proud of. And that was my biggest concern. I actually did not really want to get back into drop shipping and e-commerce because I had built this audience which makes me good money, and I had already been monetizing it through Gig Sharks without drop shipping, and it monetizes very well. I didn't want to compromise any of that brand image by shipping low quality products or taking 15, 20, 30 days for the products to get there and having irresponsible suppliers. Fortunately, I've found suppliers that have a very quick processing time. That's something that doesn't always show up when you're searching products. It might show you the shipping time, but it might take them 4 or 5 days just to process an order, and all of a sudden you get backed up. But I'm finding suppliers that get it done within 48 hours at the longest, and my customer experience has been phenomenal. So I'm going to continue to grow this store, continue to make the shout outs, and continue to monetize this WooCommerce AliExpress dropshipping. As this journey continues, I will continue to post updates and let you know how it's going. If you have any questions for me about the setup, leave a comment down below. If it seems like a lot of people are interested in this method, I will do some more videos on it. It's definitely a way to save money. I mean, that's something for me. I will usually put in a little bit more work to lower my cost of doing business because I do not like to have all of these recurring fees. And that's one of the reasons why I like WordPress. Everything's relatively straightforward. It's not a difficult platform to use. And I'm not gonna pay all of these massive prices that come with Shopify up front when I'm getting something that's actually working better and it's more robust for me. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the latest e-commerce updates. Find the best way to sell products at a low price and to scale your store up efficiently. This is no BS. I'm not trying to sell you on some plan that I haven't actually implemented myself. I'm gonna show you guys every step of the journey from my perspective.